much my testimony is basically God did it. And that was basically the best thing that I could actually title my testimony because um, a little background about me. I've been saved since I was 6. My first experience with the Holy Spirit was at the age of 14. Um, I've had many prophecies told to me and over the years about, what I was doing and the road that I was leading going down. And I knew right, but I went wrong. And this particular incident, there was this guy that I ended up dating back in 2017. He literally stalked me for years, like at least 2 to 3 years to get my attention. And we started dating, and it was pretty much him love bombing. I ended up having to figure out, like, what is it that it was that kind of like made me really fall for him. He pretty much love bombed me our entire relationship, like every single day. I had something, a new bag, some flowers, some money. So it was always something. And over time, I would say to him, I ain't never had this done for me other than from my father, doing nice stuff like, getting a girl, things like that. I've never had a man really do those things. And I used to always tell him, you doing something. And I just can't put my finger on it, but I feel like you're doing something. I'm talking about living room sets, washer dryers, trips, you name it, I was getting it. I'm talking about hundreds to thousands of dollars. Like he was literally doing it. We was going out to eat, like literally our first, I'm gonna say 4 to 6 months. I didn't cook, and I love to cook. I didn't cook at all. He wanted to go out. He wanted to take me and go do stuff. And then it went to you wanting to take me and the kids out. So I'm like, hey, shoot, you want to take me? Let's go. And I didn't think about it at the time of how I can look back on my situation now of what really was transpiring in front of my eyes. And I was so naive and so blind to everything, but I was still kind of with it in a sense, if that makes sense to you all, that I knew something was going on, but I just couldn't put my finger on it. So we met in 2017. I ended up getting pregnant in May of 2018. I found out that I was pregnant, and I was at work, and for like a week, I would just hurt. And I'm talking about like this was a pain that I had never felt. It wasn't like regular period cramps, nothing like that. It was like very severe. And me being a big girl, I wore my big girl panties and just went to work and persevered through and acted like nothing happened. Well, this one particular day, I went to work and I was like, I'm not feeling good. Like, I ain't feeling this. So I called him and I told him, and I was like, if I don't feel good by the end of the day, I'm gonna go to the hospital. So I put it off actually that day. And the next day I went to work, I felt worse. So at the end of my shift, I called him, I said, listen, I gotta go to the hospital. Like this ain't no pain. And I used to smoke. I went cold turkey. I've been almost cold turkey for about 3 months now, and I smoked for almost 18 years. So when I got off work, I was like, listen, have me one rolled up. I'm gonna smoke. I'm gonna take a shower, and I'm gonna go to the hospital because I got a feeling they're gonna keep me for a while. And I don't know what news they gonna give me, but I just wanted to numb the pain in that moment. So I got home, we smoked, I took a shower. I'm begging him, I'm like, you gonna go to the hospital with me? He was like, no, I'm gonna stay here with the kids, this, that, and the third. You giving me all these excuses of you gonna stay here with the kids. So I called my mom. And lo and behold, my aunt was in the hospital um, in a neighboring city from where I'm from. And I told her, I said, well, since you're at that hospital, I'll just go ahead and come to this hospital to be seen. So I go to the hospital and I'm telling her, like, I'm pissed at this point. Like, I'm mad. I'm furious. Like, I'm angry because I'm like, I'm pregnant from this man and I feel like he's supposed to be here with me. Like, out of all people, I shouldn't have to call my mom. I shouldn't have to call nobody else. Like, I laid down with you. You should be here with me to hear what the doctors got to say. So my mom was like, "Don't worry about it. I'm gonna always be there with you." So long story short, my mom met me, and she literally was there every step of the way. And forgive me if I get teary eyed because that was a situation I don't wish on nobody, not even my worst enemy. I went and I ended up being told, like literally in the ER, I was there not even maybe at like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours max. The lady came in and she was like, "Listen, I'm just gonna be honest with you. We got to do emergency surgery." And when she said that, I looked at my mom and I'm talking about tears just went flowing. And I just kind of went numb. And I didn't even know what to say. Like in that moment, the doctor was sounding like Charlie Brown, like it was wah, 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 wah. And I just kept hearing emergency surgery. We got to do surgery like now. Like this is a life or death situation. So when I came to of listening, my mom was like, "Are you listening?" I'm like, "Yes and no." But yes, I just know that they got to do surgery. The lady, she stopped and she was like, "I need you to listen to me." She said, "Your baby is in your tube, in my right tube." And she's like, "You're having an ectopic pregnancy and we have to do emergency surgery right now." She said, "You have three ruptures on your tube." She said, "If you leave today, your mom's going to be planning your funeral. I would advise you not to leave here today." And she said, "I'm so happy that you came today because if you wouldn't have came today, your mom still would be planning your funeral by the weekend." She said, "Because the ruptures that you have already started seeping toxins into my bloodstream." So they rushed me back. They getting me together, and I'm literally like, "Lord, just see me through this. See me through this." I ain't never prayed, y'all, as hard as I prayed that night. I've never, ever prayed as hard as I prayed that night. I was so scared. I've never had a surgery done on me, ever. So I'm back there and they give me whatever the gas to knock you out. And the lady's like, "Count down from 100." And I'm counting. And I just remember waking up the next day. I went in on a Tuesday. I woke up Wednesday that afternoon. I'm talking about a tube down my throat. I look like I'm laying in the bed and I'm looking over, like barely able to move my neck. I got three IV stands to the right and three IV stands to the left. The little stands that got all types of medicine, and they got a ventilator down my throat. Like I'm literally hooked up to everything. I got uh, leg compressions on my legs, and I'm just sitting there like, what in the world is really like? This was real. This was like I had a real surreal moment. Like I couldn't believe that that was me in that moment. And my middle son's father, I just remember him walking in and the look on his face. He was so terrified. Like I can't even really do the look that he had, but it was a sheer terror look. Like, oh my God. And he walks over and he talking to me, and I'm just kind of uh, like nodding my head and like, trying to respond, but I really couldn't respond. So I just remember going back out and I woke up again. And when I woke up again, they had done took everything off of me. And this was that night. They took everything off of me and I'm laying in the bed. Well, the guy that I was dating at the time, who I ended up losing the baby from, he walks in and he walks in with my children. So we're talking or whatever, and I'm like, hey, or whatever, not even thinking about, you just had me messed up the night before. I'm just so glad to see my kids. Me and my kids had never spent a day, more than a day, really, give or take two max, ever in their entire life away from each other. Never. And it was only with my mother or my father that they've ever spent that time away from me. So um, they come in and he's like, "You good? You need anything?" I was like, I am hungry." So he was like, "What you want?" I was like, "You can go get me some Salem's or something." So he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take the kids with me." And my baby started crying. Now my middle son has autism, so he doesn't understand what's going on in that moment of my mommy's. He just see his mommy all messed up, but he's so glad to see his mommy. So the nurse comes in and she's like, "I have a popsicle I can give him. That way, it'll keep him calm." I said, "Okay, that's fine." I said, "You go." And I asked my oldest, I said, "Do you want to go with him?" He was like, "Yeah, I'll go with him to help him bring the food back." I said, "Okay, y'all go. I got him." Now I'm still hooked up to leg compression in the bed. My son goes in the bathroom to wash his hands after he finished eating the popsicle. Well, again, he's autistic, so he doesn't understand the concept of turn the water off. In that moment, over the years of me learning my child, I should have said turn the water on, because that his mind, it resonated to turn it off if you say turn it on. And if you say turn it on, it means turn it off. So long story short, sink starts flooding. He walks in and I jumped up and I'm still hooked up to all of this stuff and I'm still trying to be super mom. But in my mind, in that moment, I gotta go get my baby. I gotta go help my child. I didn't even think of I got an incision on my stomach. I didn't think of me still being hooked up to things or anything like that. I literally jumped up out the bed and he just walks in and he looked at me and he was like, "What the?" I'm talking about. He went off. And before I know it, I snapped too. And I told him, I said, "Listen, if you feel like you can talk to me any kind of way and what I'm doing is not suiting your needs, you can leave." I said, "You ain't been here the whole time anyway. You can go." My child was excited to see me. He was more excited to see me than you were. So if you don't like what's going on, you can leave. He looked at me, he said, "Oh, yeah?" I said, "Yeah, leave. And you ain't got to come back. I'll see you when I get out of the hospital." Me not knowing, that night he left. He left my kids in there. My mom was coming up. He left my kids with me at the hospital. My mom came up and got my kids. This man left and went to my house because he moved in with me. That's why I say my house. He went to my house, packed all his stuff, and left. Literally left. Like, I'm laid up in the hospital with an incision. You ain't really like, the only thing you did ask me that whole entire incident was, "How you feeling when you came in to go get me something to eat?" So he ended up leaving because there was an incident in the beginning of our relationship with this lady. She popped up. He ended up leaving, going to move back with this lady that he claimed he didn't even want to be with. So I get out of the hospital. I rushed myself to get home. They wanted to keep me in the hospital an extra day or two. I said, "No, I'm ready to go home. I need to get home to my kids. I need to, get out of here. Like, it's too much going on. I need to get home." So I get home. All I see is empty hangers, an empty closet. His whole side was completely empty. All his drawers. This man left one hanger. That was it. He took everything of his personal and left. So I'm calling, 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 calling. He ain't answering. Eventually, he blocked me. This was that Thursday. That Friday, a guy that I had talked to previous, he invited me to a revival at his church. So that was that next day, that Saturday. So I'm like, "Okay, I'll go." He was like, "I'll come get you if need be." I say, "Okay, I may be able to drive." So that Saturday, this man comes to the house, knocks on the door. I'm walking to the door, holding myself. He look at me and we have words. And I say, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Didn't you take all your stuff? Like, what's the purpose of you really even being here? Like, what's really good?" And he was like, "I just came to check on you." I say, "It's fine time for you to check on me 3 days after I get out of the hospital. And you literally left and you blocked me and you ain't say not one word to me. You didn't say, 'Hey, do you need anything? Do you need to ride home?' None of that. You didn't say nothing to me." So he ended up getting defensive. This man tells me in the midst of getting defensive, I really don't care what you got going on. I don't care how you feel. Oh, why he said that? I snapped. My son had a Razor scooter in our yard, and I don't know why I just zoned in on that scooter, and that scooter was like my weapon of choice. Like I just zoom. Let me go get that. I told him, I said, I think it's best that you just leave. I said it's so nice, and I kind of scared myself. I said, I think it's just best that you just go ahead and leave. I ain't gotta leave. I ain't gotta go nowhere. Hold on. I ain't gotta leave. I ain't gotta go nowhere. This, that, and the third. I say, please leave. So he goes to walk off. I said, I'm telling you to leave. So he talking trash. He goes to get in his truck. He's still selling out, calling me all kind of names. I picked that scooter up. I tore his truck up. I tried to bust the windows. I tried to tear the whole truck up. Mind you, I'm fresh out of surgery with a incision, a C-section scar. I'm bamming his truck like this with the scooter. So, that could rip my scar open. I ain't think about none of that in that moment. Like I could care less. Like I literally had so much adrenaline in me. I was trying to bust his truck up. He pulled off. He saw how serious I was. I was still beating it as he pulling off. And I threw the scooter and it drove down the back of his truck. I know it tore his whole truck up. I didn't care in that moment. So the next day, later that day, I called the dude. I said, I'm going to drive to the revival. I'll be there. So I get to the revival. After I left the hospital, they took my right tube out. I don't have a right tube still to this day. They had to take the entire tube. So that's gone. And the lady told me it was a 20% chance that my next pregnancy would be an ectopic pregnancy. So I go to the revival, and it was a preacher from Missouri. Never met this man. He don't know me from a can of paint. He didn't even know what I was going through. He called me out in the crowd. He said, "You young lady, you right there." I'm looking back. He was like, "No, you the one that's turning around looking back." I'm like, "Me?" He's like, "Yeah, come here." So I walk up, and he see, I'm walking up the best I could. He see me, and he say, "I don't know you." He say, "But God told me to tell you that issue of blood is no more. That issue of blood is no more." He say, "Whatever the report the doctors told you, whose final report are you going to really believe?" And in that moment, I just wept. Like I wept so bad because I was so scared, and I'm like, I ain't never lost a child. I don't know how it feels, to even feel what I was feeling in that moment. He was like, "It's no more. You don't even worry about that. Don't even think about none of that." He say, because God already fixed it. You good. That's pretty much summing up what he said. I don't even remember verbatim other than whose report will you believe, in the fact that that issue of blood is fixed and God already did it. So the next day, I had been praying and been praying and been praying, and he told me, he say, within 24 hours, God is gonna blow your mind with some information. Oh man. The next day, that Sunday, this guy's friend, I'm talking about a dear friend, and I'll never put this man out, still to this day. He called me. He hit me up on Facebook, and he was like, "I need to talk to you." Like, what's up? So he called me. I gave my number. He called me. He said, "You a good person. Like, you are the best he's ever had, and probably gonna be the best he'll ever get." He said, "You're a genuine person, and I see exactly what you was trying to do, and I see you for who you truly are." He said, "But he's not ready." This man was sleeping with prostitutes, y'all, cheating on me with prostitutes, women who sell their body. I ain't calling them prostitutes. I'm calling for who they really is. Like, I'm not just saying, "Oh, he's sleeping with this girl and that girl." No, he's sleeping with women who advertise themselves to sell their body. That is their line of work, and they'll tell you, "This how I make my money." This man been doing this since he was in high school, through his marriage, through his second baby mama, through all his girlfriends and now through me. And this man confirmed everything. When I said in the beginning, I told him, I know you're doing something, but I just can't put my finger on it. He confirmed all the nights and the time, the moments that I felt. And I would ask him, I'm like, so on this day, at this time, da 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 da, when this dude got out, this is what was going on. Bah, 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 bah. He was like, yeah. He was like, so you know? I said, no. I say, you're just confirming my suspicions, and I appreciate you. I say, he'll never know that you told me this. This man put every single piece to my puzzle to where it was crystal clear. I'm talking about crystal clear to me of what I was dealing with and who I was dealing with. And I would try to get him to go to church. He wouldn't go to church this, that, and the third. But your mama's so sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, this, that, and the third, and she just much the devil. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. I didn't realize the spirits I was going up against and the people that I was dealing with and how much evil that they had in them. And this man told me everything. I'm talking about everything. And when I called him, he was a deer in headlights. I'm talking about like stuck and couldn't say nothing. And he hung up on me. That was the end of our conversation. And over the years of when I saw him, I seen him, I think like 2 years later in the barbershop. I punched that man dead in his mouth. I'm talking about decked him dead in the mouth like, what's up? Like for real, what's really good? I say, because every time I see you, you smirking and smiling like I didn't go through 2 weeks of depression. Like I literally couldn't even get out my bed. I crawled to the bathroom just to pee. My oldest son, I thank God for him every single day. He made sure him and his brother ate every single day. I couldn't even take care of my kids because I was so depressed and I was so lost and I was feeling so helpless and hopeless and like, why me, God? Why me? Out of all people, why me? I'm a good person. I don't mess over people. Why me? But I had to learn over the years that, as my mama would say, God take you through some things for you to know some things. And when He take you through those things, it builds up your faith. It builds up you knowing who He is and who you are in Him and where you're going. But if you don't believe, you'll never understand that. So I ended up, over the years, we didn't talk. And it's just like over time, I just recently, honestly, if I can be just so honest with y'all, I recently, this past 90 days, forgave this man. In the past 90 days, I just asked God, just heal my brokenness. I don't want to, I don't want to, be angry and bitter and just mad and just ugly, all because of what someone said and done to me. And I'm in the place now to where I'm trying to forgive myself. I got to forgive me. Not only forgive the people, but I most importantly have to forgive me, because if I don't forgive me, I'm doing all this for no reason. I'm never going to be completely whole if I don't forgive me. I got to forgive me for what I've allowed people to say, people to do, and just even myself for what I said and done to even people. And just overall, I got to forgive me. I got to be forgiving to me and give myself grace. And that's just where I'm at. Like, I, it's a process. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It's a process. And anybody that know me, my real sister is on there. She'll tell you I am a piece of work, but God gonna make me whole. And I just thank Him for bringing me out of dark times and saving me. That's just one time He saved me. He done saved me so many times. I told you, Denise, I told you, like from 14 all the way up until now. And I didn't even tell you everything. Like that was a snippet. God doing it. And He did it. That's why I titled mine God Did It, because say no man on in this earth or in hell tell me otherwise that God didn't do it. I'm thankful. Like I'm thankful. That's my testimony.